What's up, superfans? It is Fit Nerd from Superheroes Ultimate. Welcome to another episode of Heroes Finest, where we discuss, review, and reveal all of the latest and the greatest in the superhero world. Today we have joining me Ocean Nerd, which is a guru at the DC realm. What's up,
Hi,
dude?
how you doing, Fit Nerd? It's been a while.
Oh, it's been a hot minute. And there's been a lot of news with all the Disney stuff. There's been a lot of news with all of the Star Wars and Marvel stuff. And lo and behold, DC is still coming up with new news. Also, latest is the DC New Era, it's called, of the Infinite Frontier one-shot. So can you talk more about this?
DC right now is going through a big change. They're finishing up their DC Death Metal series, which is resetting the whole multiverse. It's resetting the whole DC universe. So if you haven't been reading DC's DC's Death Metal series, I highly suggest you do. They're doing a lot of callbacks to a lot of former crises, former events, a lot of characters that have come and gone are making appearances. I don't want to spoil it too much for anybody, but I highly recommend it. This is it. This is a big reset of the DC universe. Bigger than DC Rebirth and bigger than I'm not going to say bigger than the Flashpoint Paradox, because that was in itself a great reset, but the 52 wasn't very well received. The Infinite one-shot, what is going to happen is after the Death Metal series, they're going to release a one-shot, as it says there, where it's going to give us a preview of the stories they want to cover. If you are a fan of DC Rebirth, number one, this is exactly how it's going to go. It's going to give us a little preview, and from there, all the new series are going to branch out. So you can see, because we have Batman, Bruce Wayne dressed up in a different costume. You have another Batman behind him in a very nice costume too. You have Damian Wayne in a completely different ensemble. He's no longer Robin. In the background, you see John Kent, Clark Kent's son. You even see members of the Justice Society of America. And my favorite character right here for right now is Red X. Those of you who saw DC Teen Titans on Cartoon Network growing up with the Teen Titans team of Robin, Starfire, Beast Boy, Cyborg, and Raven will remember that this character appeared on 2 episodes, actually 3. He made a cameo on 1. He didn't have any speaking lines. He was just in the background. So now they're bringing him into the comic book continuity, like they did with Harley Quinn and Renee Montoya. Other characters that have been brought in from other animated shows are now coming into the comic books, and Red X is the latest one, which I am very excited to see. Who are they going to make the Red X and what direction he is going to go in? Yeah, and Red X wasn't exactly considered canon. He is now,
since it was an animated series. It was the Teen Titans. This is huge that he's in the comics, like front and center, basically. He's literally in the front and center right here, and this in the crowd as the Red X, as the adult version of Robin as the Red X.
I don't think that's Robin. That's not a Robin. If you seen the TV series, and I hope everybody that is watching this has, you remember that Dick Grayson dressed up as Red X to try to fool his nemesis, which was Deathstroke. He was referred to as Slade in the comic, in the TV series, because the TV was supposed to be kid friendly, and they couldn't have a character Deathstroke running around, so he was referred to only as Slade. Dick Grayson dressed up as Red X to fool him, to try to uncover his identity, and then he hung up the suit, and someone stole the suit, and we never knew who that person was. It was just some guy that was cunning and resourceful enough to break into Titan Tower and get the suit. There's always been speculations of who could have been. Could have been Jason Todd. I highly doubt it, because Jason Todd is the Red Hood. So Red X from Red Hood, I highly doubt it. But that was one of the theories that was presented in the cartoon series. So this is going to be a character all onto himself. It might be a new character, or it could be someone that's been in the background and decides to be a superhero or is anti-hero. We don't know. They haven't given us much information about that.
Who is the second Batman?
Okay, so there's been a lot of speculation about who this new Batman is. I can tell you right now, it's a brand new character. Everyone thought,
What?
everyone thought it was going to be Luke Fox, the son of Lucius Fox, Nightwing for a while. But no, it's a brand new character named Tim Fox, allegedly Luke's brother.
So he is literally right there as the second. He's an official Batman.
Yes.
Like, he's got the mantle. He's going to be considered Batman aside from Bruce Wayne's
Yes.
Batman. That is super dope. There's two Batman. I mean Marvel's doing it with a bunch of Spider-Man. Why not do it with Batman?
See, I don't. For me, there's only going to be one real Batman, and that's always going to be Bruce Wayne. And there have been a lot of characters that taken up the mantle of Batman, but I don't know how I feel about this. And right now, it's not canon. But if you read DC's Dead Planet, Batman's son, Damian Wayne, who has been holding down the Batman mantle for the in that particular storyline, in that particular zombie universe, you know, Batman passed down the mantle to his son, and now his son, Damian Wayne, is currently the Batman in the DC in Dead Planet series. If you have not read Dead Planet series or before that, I highly recommend it. It is a fantastic series.
For those who don't know, Tim Fox, they just released this news not too long ago,
Yes.
like during, I think, the week or whatever. They released it with a post of the cover of the issue of Future State, and that's how they released this is the new
Yes.
Batman, which is Tim Fox.
Future State, we can talk about that in a moment, but yeah, that was a big reveal. Everyone was expecting it to be Luke Fox. And a lot of people I talked to on social media told me that, like, yeah, come on, it's Luke Fox. It's Luke Fox. And for them to reveal a whole new character, I mean, I'm not even sure if they ever mentioned Tim before. This is the first time I'm hearing of Tim Fox. You know, I didn't know that Luke had a brother. I didn't know that Lucius had another child out there. This was a great reveal. I am really enjoying a lot of these new characters that they've been developing. They're going not a different route, but a lot of the characters that they're coming up with have been, in my opinion, fantastic, like Punchline or the Clown Killer. You know, I really like that they're expanding the DC universe, but they're not oversaturating. Present these characters subtly and then give them a backstory of, you know, who they are and everything. And I like that very much. I mean, Punchline was an overnight success. You know, I remember when she first appeared, you know, all they did was show her in the background and people went crazy. You had cosplayers dressing up as her right away, you know, copying her look. They loved her look, and a lot of people loved her story.
Infinite Frontier. Now let's get some chronological order here. So we have Death
That's
Metal.
what's going on right now.
Well, Dark Knight's Metal, and then Death Metal came right after it. Correct?
So it was the Dark Knight's Metal, that was from 2 years ago, and then it was the Year of the Villain, where they were coming off on that. You know, spoiler alert, who hasn't read Dark Knight's Metal, the source wall, after so many years, has been broken, and that set up the catalyst for a whole year of comic series, you know, that ended with Year of the Villain. And then that led up to DC's Death Metal. Supposedly Scott Snyder's and Greg Capullo's swan song to the DC characters. Like, after this, they might not be working together on further DC comics. I mean, I know Scott Snyder right now has got a DC comic under the DC label, like his own series. No longer has to do with Batman or any other thing. It's his own series of Vampire 1960 something. I forget the title. I haven't been reading it, but it's a horror series. And from there, we will have this, which is the DC Future State. This was coming next month in January. This right here is what's gonna come out. The first issue that's going to come out of this year's DC Death Metal. So this is the free issue I got at my local comic book shop. They gave me. This is a preview. There's a lot of new characters that they've been presenting, like this brand new Wonder Woman. You got the Grifter. He's making a comeback. You got right here Tim Fox, the new Batman. In the back, you got the old Batman, Bruce Wayne, with a whole new look. This is a preview right now.
The future state of all of DC, because from this one shot, we're going to go off, and they're going to go off with each one of these characters on their own from here on in. So it is literally a new Infinite Crisis.
Well, this is supposed to be the Infinite Crisis to end, well, not end, but to reset all Infinite Crisis. One thing a lot of people have been talking about throughout the years is DC's continuity. DC, unlike Marvel, has had an issue with that because Marvel has all their characters that they created, whereas DC, they acquired other comic book companies that, you know, they bought the the rights and the characters to other companies, and they try to implement these characters into their DC universe, and they always did it with a crisis event. You know, they decided to relaunch and restart all over again, implement these characters that they have. So a perfect example of this is the Justice League of America and the Justice Society. You have 2 Flashes, 2 Green Lanterns, and you'll have Hawkman, who's immortal, always getting reincarnated, and he's a member of the Justice Society and the Justice League. So at times it gets a little convoluted, and they do a reset when it gets out of hand. The problem is you have fans of the old superheroes, of the old stories, that get upset, and they try to please them, and they just make everything more convoluted. So this is it. DC's death metal is supposed to say, you know what? Everything that we've made throughout our 80 years is canon. Everything that we put in, everything, it goes together. What the good, the bad, the ugly, you know, what you like, what you don't like, it's all the canon. Everything. This version of Batman, that version of Batman, this version of Batman.
Well, it is kind of the multiverse, I guess you could say, but it's more like different timelines that I guess just meshed in together. Like, how would you even explain this? Like, it is the DC multiverse, like this universe Batman, and then there's this universe Batman, and they all basically are canon. Everything in the DC right now is now canon. Even the shows have just become canon.
It's always been that they did the Crisis on Infinite Earths, where they destroyed the multiverse and made one Earth, and then they split it up again, and then they unsplit it. It's always been like that. It gets kind of exhausting. Like, I haven't read a lot of the old issues, you know, because not because they're hard to come by, because you can read them digitally. It gets convoluted. It's hard to understand. It's hard to see what goes on. Like The Killing Joke is a classic comic book. It's always meant to stand by itself, but they always reference it because Barbara Gordon was crippled by the Joker, and they referenced it in the 3 Jokers comic series, and they referenced it in Rebirth. You know, she is paralyzed, but she has a microchip that enables her to walk. I always believe that The Killing Joke should have been its own issue, standalone in its telling. It should have never been part of the main DC universe. They never should have made Barbara Gordon the Oracle in its own, in the DC canon, in the main DC universe. They should have let that be its own separate story.
Spoiler alert, if you guys haven't read the 3 Jokers, I have my own opinions on the 3 Jokers.
Don't spoil it for me, because I gotta sit down and read it.
That'll be another time.
As you can see,
you have read all 3 of them. I've read them. I have my own opinions on them. I will hold on to them. But like you said, I do agree with they should have kept it as a solo series of its own, and not just basically, oh, that was awesome, let's try to tug in on that a little bit more on this storyline. Like, no, it's a work of art. Leave it alone. It's the Mona Lisa. Like
Superman Red Sun, but that story stands on its own, and it's a good story. You know, it was a great animated series. I loved it. You know, I highly recommend it. That story stands in and of itself. You know, they never referenced it in the main continuity.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sun is a perfect example of that. The Red Sun was basically like a what if scenario. Like Marvel has the whole what if, which I'm super excited about as well. On the DC side of things, this is basically their version of a what if. The Infinite Frontier is gonna be taken off. Let's see, we do have a date. It's gonna come out in March of 2021. It's gonna be after the
Future State.
Future State, correct. So Future State is gonna be January, February, and all right, there you have it. 2021, DC coming out the gates, both cinematically and in the comic world. They are revamping everything and introducing new characters. Thank you, Ocean Nerd, for your expertise in the DC multiverse. If you guys want to follow him on Instagram, it's HighRock809. And of course, don't forget to follow Fit Nerd at Superheroes Ultimate. If you are new here, don't forget to give us a like, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you on the next. Over and out.
Depends on the series. So here's a copy of the back.